You may be aware that same-sex marriage was legalized in 2016. What you might not know is that the building blocks were laid decades prior one night in a bar in New York City. Back in the 60s, the mafia owned and ran most of the bars in New York City. Since operating without a liquor license and homosexuality were both considered illegal, the mafia decided to turn a profit at the expense of gay patrons by buying all of the bars. Though gay patrons felt safe for a time behind the mafia's power, they were still being heavily targeted by police raids. According to the first-hand account of a participant in the riots, Martin Boyce stated that regular police stops, attempts at entrapment, and raids of establishments frequented by gays all contributed to an atmosphere in which being gay meant feeling hunted. Police officers, mafia members, and LGBTQ members alike were all directly responsible for what was to come. On June 28, 1969, the Stonewall Riot happened. 1 week prior to this, police had raided the inn to confiscate alcohol and arrest gay employees. During that same week, the police had planned to do the raid that happened on June 28th. On the night of June 28th, police officers in civilian clothing entered the bar. As soon as they entered the bar, they started arresting all of the Stonewall employees as well as cross-dressers. Men and women alike, inside and outside of the bar, saw what was happening and something inside them snapped. They started throwing makeshift bombs, beer bottles, cans, anything that they could get their hands on in order to stop the police from doing what they were doing. This prompted the police to barricade themselves inside the bar until the outside calmed down. Martin Boyce detailed the accounts of that night, and he describes seeing drag queens thrown in the back of paddy wagons, hearing metal crush bone, and he stated that he had never felt more invigorated in that moment to scream, "I'm gay," in the middle of the street while the riot raged on. This may not seem important or relevant, but for somebody at that time to feel so free and so passionate to scream words that he knew would be almost a death sentence just paints the picture of how much passion and how much fire was behind this movement to begin with. The raid ended once the police regained control of the crowd and they arrested remaining onlookers. We celebrate our brothers and sisters for everything that they put forth that night, but there's still work to be done. Pride is celebrated in June because of the night of the Stonewall Riot. Since the Stonewall Riot occurred in June, we thought that it was best to celebrate it during that time period. While the LGBTQ community has had a huge increase in support and legislation over the years, the work is not done. For me personally, if I wanted to go get an apartment in Metairie, if they knew that I was a lesbian, they could legally deny me housing because I had no protections there. Whereas in New Orleans, the LGBTQ community does have housing protections to protect them from people like that. This isn't just a sole experience for me either. My best friend, who lived in Texas at the time, applied to a private religious university and got accepted. He has a very good academic record, 4.0 GPA and everything. 3 days later, he gets a call from the head of admissions telling him that they're rescinding his application because he violated their code of ethics. When he asked them for specific details on how he violated the code of ethics, they would not give him an answer. When he asked for documentation stating the exact reason why he got denied, the head of admissions bluntly told him that if he were to take this to court, he would lose. These are just two examples of experiences the LGBTQ community faces on a daily basis. From this administration alone, the rights this community have been fighting for seem to be rolling backwards. According to the National Center for Transgender Equality, 9 federal agencies proposed rules that would basically give religious exemption to federal agencies, which means that if I were to go to a federal agency and tell them, this is the problem that I have, and you're the only one who can help me, if that person had an issue with me being gay, they could legally deny me help, which I believe is a breach of church and state. So while we celebrate our brothers who set the stage for us to thrive, we just need action. The Stonewall Riot propelled the human rights movement to a new level of passion. It laid the foundation for the Marriage Equality Act as well as the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. It's important to know that the Stonewall Riot played a much bigger part in history than what your textbooks may tell you. The human rights movement and its allies are here today because of events that include the Stonewall riot. I, like many others, wouldn't feel the confidence or freedom to express myself without the work my brothers and sisters put forth that night. Thank you.